Hi, my name is Anthony Suarez, and I've been at OVHcloud since July of 2017 as a senior systems engineer, and later as a senior technical account manager. Before that, I was a senior technical account manager, and then later a senior systems engineer at VMware. Over the years, I've watched as companies of all sizes work their way towards a cloud presence. I've seen many of the challenges they faced, and I've also seen many of the successes they experienced. Building on what I've learned, I hope to share with you some of that knowledge I've gained.
Today, we're going to talk about how to automate and optimize workloads for an affordable and secure journey to the cloud. Information technology is going through a digital transformation and reshaping how we do business, how we interact, how we make decisions, and how we influence society. OVHcloud is at the forefront of this data revolution, standing apart from the competition with a strong commitment to creating a level playing field and the opportunity for any business to leverage this transformation to migrate to the cloud and make the most of the new digital world. So, what does this mean for you? Well, it brings both opportunities and challenges. There are plenty of options to learn new and exciting skills, but the rapid growth of cloud, and now working from home, have seriously disrupted the industry. And IT staff and management aren't always on the same page. So, what are some of the challenges businesses are facing in the digital transformation? Data is growing at an exponential rate, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. In fact, IDC predicts that by 2025, worldwide data creation will grow to 175 zettabytes. The challenge IT leaders face is figuring out what to do with all this data, where to store it, how to ensure it's readily available when it is needed, and most importantly, remain within, or even better, free up the IT budget. A side effect of mass digital transformation has been a failure in the supply of talent to keep up with demand, and the problem looks set to continue. According to IT Decision Maker Insights 2019 IT Skills and Salary Report, IT skills gaps have increased by 155% in 3 years and can be credited to increased employee stress, development and deployment delays, and increased operating costs. Rapid advances in technology might be transforming the way we live and do business, but they're also introducing new and more complex security threats than ever before. The cybersecurity challenge is threefold. Cyber attacks are growing in size and sophistication. Millions of cybersecurity IT jobs remain unfilled, while next-generation AI-driven cyber attacks haven't featured heavily to date. You can expect this to change over the next 5 years. Rapid advances in technology might be transforming the way we live and do business, but they're also introducing new and more complex security threats than ever before. The cybersecurity challenge is threefold. Cyber attacks are growing in size and sophistication. Millions of cybersecurity IT jobs remain unfilled, while next-generation AI-driven cyber attacks haven't featured heavily to date. You can expect this to change over the next 5 years. As you move more workloads to the cloud, the complexity of learning different applications in the new environment is a productivity killer. It will bleed time and energy from IT teams and often result in unnecessary expenses. In an event, lack of familiarity or error-prone manual processes will impact your ability to recover quickly. The end result is unplanned downtime, the ultimate complication for any competitive business. In order to address many of the concerns we just covered, companies need to retain the knowledge and experience that their IT staff already possess. Rather than quickly introduce new technologies that require new skill sets, Companies can move forward at a more predictable rate by keeping the skill gap small and leveraging automation that is already implemented. Expanding into the cloud then becomes easier and more cost-effective. During this session, we will demonstrate ways to optimize your IT strategy and reduce costs using skills and applications you are already familiar with in your on-premises environment. OVHcloud leverages a long-standing relationship with VMware and has built a top-of-the-line automation engine that is at your disposal. You will learn how to leverage these automation tools and services using our proprietary state-of-the-art private networking VRAC to reduce manual intervention associated with provisioning, configuring, and managing cloud environments. During this session, we will also discuss 3 common use cases around moving to the cloud. The first use case will discuss moving to the cloud for disaster recovery. The ability to safeguard critical systems in the event of an emergency and to quickly recover. In a DR event, IT staff are responsible for bringing critical systems back up quickly, using a plan that leverages tools and processes that they use daily increases their efficiency at recovering those systems. The second use case will focus on data center extension. To be able to extend a company's on-premise resources to the cloud to easily increase and decrease resources as needed ensures a company's ability to remain agile. And the third use case is to migrate a company's data center completely to the cloud. This reduces CapEx and allows the company to focus on its business rather than on the infrastructure to run the business. Each use case demonstrates ways for you to optimize your IT strategy and accelerate your migration to the cloud. So, why OVHcloud? We're a global cloud provider specializing in delivering industry-leading performance and cost-effective solutions to better manage, secure, and scale data. We offer cloud services in 30 data centers globally. We own our own high-quality global network, committed to the highest security standards. This allows us to offer customers unmetered traffic anywhere on our networks, with no ingress, egress, or regional charges worldwide. Every private cloud comes equipped with NSX and OVHcloud's proprietary VRAC to secure your platform with microsegmentation and private L2 networking that spans global data centers. We offer SSL gateway service with up to 10,000 concurrent connections and optional Anycast service. We offer the highest compliance and certification standards. And we offer a proprietary, highly resilient Layer 3, 4, and 7 DDoS protection solution built into the network. With all those advantages, we can provide a smarter alternative for web hosting, emails, servers, hosted private cloud, and hybrid and public cloud solutions. Let's get started with our demos. First, I'd like to explain the environments we'll be working in today. Every hosted private cloud environment starts with at least 2 hosts and 2 data stores. It also comes pre-configured with vSphere Enterprise Plus, vCenter, NSX, VROPS, DDoS protection, and VRAC capabilities, which are all included at no additional costs. Our hosted private cloud provides dedicated resources and allows customers to utilize vSphere and vCenter to manage their environments, using the same policies and procedures they use on-prem. We also partner with third-party vendors such as Veeam and Zerto, so IT personnel can continue to use their other management tools as well. This helps to keep the skill gap small. Remember, using the same tools in the cloud that IT staff use on a daily basis increases IT efficiencies, both on daily maintenance tasks and especially during a DR event. Here we are in the home screen of our data center in Hillsboro. This is a standard HTML5 vSphere web client interface. exactly the same as you use to manage your on-premise environment. I've zoomed in my browser so it'll be easier to read in the video. Notice that in the Installed Plugins section, we see the OVHcloud plugin. This plugin is installed on all of our customers' environments, and what it does is it provides administrators the ability to add and remove additional hosts and data stores, as well as manage those resources directly from the vSphere web client. If we move to hosts and clusters, we see that this data center has 2 hosts in it. If I right-click on one of the hosts, we see the standard actions menu that you normally find. However, at the bottom, we see the OVHcloud plugin. And here we're given the option of adding more of this host or remove this host. If I click more of this host, an identical host, in this case a 12-core 48 gig server, will be added to my vCenter cluster within a matter of minutes. If I move now to the storage tab, we see I have 2 data stores as well. If I right-click on a data store, again, the standard actions menu, except for the OVHcloud plugin at the bottom. Again, if I ask for more of this storage, an additional data store of the same size will be added to my environment, or I can remove a data store. However, what if I want to add a data store that's a different size from the one I currently have? What I would do is I click on the data center itself, then I move over to Configure. And here we see that the OVH plugin is again available, but with the ability to either add a host, add storage, manage backups, or in terms of network, see a list of the public IP addresses that have been associated with this data center. So in our example, we're just going to add a data store. And here we see the list of available data stores. So in this case, and there are others, you can scroll down. In this case, we're going to choose a 6 terabyte data store. I'm going to click Next. This is a confirmation. Are you sure you want to add this? And your order is now confirmed, and a data store will be added to the environment. Another way to add storage to the environment is through the OVHcloud control panel. This is the OVHcloud control panel. This is the tool that customers use to manage their account with OVHcloud. On the left-hand pane, you'll notice that there are a series of drop-down menus, each of those for dedicated server, private cloud, VPS, or VRAC, would be used to manage the products that have already been purchased and are part of this account. Right above it, there is the order button. Customers can use this button to purchase additional products from OVHcloud. You'll notice that you have the option of adding a public cloud project, a dedicated server, additional public IP addresses, or failover IP addresses. We can look at licensing specific to Windows or other products. Virtual private servers are available, and also, again, private cloud and VRAC, which will be discussed later in this video. If we open the private cloud list, you'll find a list of environments that pertain to this account. Normally, customers don't have this many, but this is a demo environment, so there's quite a few private cloud environments. In this case, we're going to click on the private cloud environment that I'm using for this demo. On the front page, you'll notice the general information that pertains to this environment. This includes the software version. In this case, we're running vSphere 6.7. You can see the location, which is in Hillsboro. In the middle section, Options and Compliance, you can see additional features that can be added to your environment. The Data Centers tab lists the data centers that are within this private cloud environment. The Users tab manages the administrators that have access to the vSphere web client and how much access. You can delegate the level of control the administrators have. You can limit whether they can or can't add resources. You can limit if they have access to the networking or if they're administering just VMs. So there's a great deal of delegation that is possible. The Security tab is responsible for access to the control panel. So you can control not only who has access to control panel, but you can limit it down to IP addresses as well. The Operations tab is responsible for a listing of all operations that have been completed on your environment, and the Windows licensing enables SPLA so that you can leverage the OVHcloud licenses for Windows. If we click on the Data Center tab under the Private Cloud list, we are taken to a new General Information tab. This General Information tab is specific to this data center. There's general information, but then there's also a listing of the hosts, data stores, backups, and disaster recovery plans. In this case, we're going to look at data stores. This will give me a list of the current data stores in this environment. If I go to Order a Data Store and click, the listing of available data stores is shown, and in this case, I'm just going to add a 3 GB data store. I do have the option on the bottom to choose quantities. Could always do more than one, but I'm going to go with one, and we're going to confirm the order. So this is the order confirmation page, and we see the order for one data store with the pricing. If we scroll down, we just go to the next tab. The next window is where we confirm our billing and confirm the acceptance of terms and conditions. We keep scrolling down. We confirm and pay. And in a few minutes, that data store will be added to the environment. Just as maintaining a small skill gap allows for a much smoother transition to the cloud, automation allows for the reduction of errors and the orchestration of tasks to more easily manage the environment. Automation is at the heart of every product OVHcloud produces, and we understand the value automation can bring to the growth and management of a cloud environment. We make the APIs to manage almost all of our products available to customers at no additional charge. This next demonstration will walk you through the API portal and show you how you can interact with it to create code and scripts that will allow you to automate daily tasks. Here's the portal that we make available to all of our customers so they can access the APIs. Once inside, you'll notice that there is a list of different categories for all of the different products that OVHcloud offers. So let's pick Dedicated Cloud, which corresponds to Hosted Private Cloud. And you'll notice that inside there's get commands, put commands, post, delete, with a description of what those commands are for on the right-hand side. So let's get information on this object's properties. You would input the PCC zone, which you can actually get from previous commands. And once you execute, code will be generated that includes all of the information specific to your environment. And we also offer that code already pre-made for PHP or Python code. Now with this information, you can take this, put it into a scripting engine such as Puppet, and that would help automate your environment. So this is a third way of adding and removing resources. Once inside, you see a long list of categories specific to the different products the OVHcloud offers. I will be jumping to each of the different folders that are required to avoid anyone getting motion sick as I scroll through hundreds of lines of code. So I'll be pausing a lot during this particular section of the presentation. Here we are at the Dedicated Cloud. The Dedicated Cloud folder holds all of the APIs specific to Dedicated Cloud. Again, it's a rather long list, but if you'll notice, we have get commands. And to start off, if I simply click on get command, you'll notice that I have an execute button, and this one will list available services. So by hitting execute, I have a list of the 3 data centers in this environment. Now, Data Center PCC 147, 135, 35, 122 happens to have a data store that is no longer needed. So I'm going to collect a few other pieces of information, and then we're going to use the APIs to remove that data store. So in order to use the APIs to remove a specific data store, there are a few other pieces of information I'm going to have to get. We now have the service ID for this data center, but now we need to get the data center ID, which is a separate number associated with that data center. So I'm going to pause this right now and go scroll down to that particular part of the list. So here we are in the list of APIs to get the data center name. We click on the get, and you'll notice that the service name is already pre-populated from above. By hitting execute here, we now get the ID for the data center. Specifically, in this case, it's 862. So now we just move on to get the third piece of information. It is the ID of the data store we want to remove. So here we are, and we are going to get the name of the filer. In the API section, we don't call the data stores data stores. They're simply referred to as filers. So we click on the filer and notice that the information is already pre-populated as well. So now I'm going to get the filer ID. Click on it and we get 3 IDs that come back to us. I want you to also notice that the output is available in raw format, in PHP format, in Python. So you can actually take this command, this Python script, and add it to your favorite scripting engine to automate these processes. And the same is true for every time that I've opened one of these lines. So now we know, back to the results, that we are looking at 422, 425, and 792 as the filer IDs. I happen to know that 792 is the empty data store that I no longer need. So let's get over to the next section to remove it. So here we are at the command to remove the filer or data store. Notice it is a post command, which means that it's not going to be getting information, but rather it's going to be pushing the command via the API. When we open it, we notice that, again, fields are pre-populated. But I know that I don't want to remove filer 422. Instead, it's 792 that needs to go. So I push the execute command. And now the engine has started the processes to remove that filer from my environment. Another way that OVHcloud leverages automation is through the configuration of Layer 2 networks. With OVHcloud's proprietary VRAC technology, your OVHcloud services can be connected, isolated, or spread across one or multiple secure private networks. Using our unique network technology, you can build complex private infrastructures on a global multi-data center scale. No more worrying about connecting or renting racks in a data center. No more needing to work with your service provider's network team to schedule a maintenance window and to lift and shift hosts to different racks. You have all the services and switches you need with guaranteed delivery, installation, and hardware maintenance. Furthermore, because your servers communicate securely within your private VLAN, you can make the servers accessible through your private or public network. We physically manage your private network, which means your servers don't require any software applications or network configurations. Our VRAC automation takes care of all the configurations, so there is no need to learn new networking technologies. Again, the skills gap remains small, and the automation provides the ability to securely move data within a data center or across geographic regions. The following demonstration will show how easy it is to add resources to a Layer 2 VLAN. Our current private cloud in Hillsboro has a Linux desktop configured with an IP address of 10.10.10.10 with a subnet of 16 bits on VLAN 10. Our data center in Vint Hill also has a Linux desktop configured with an IP address of 10.10.10.100 with a 16-bit subnet, also on VLAN 10. During this demonstration, you'll see how easy it is to connect geographically separate resources in minutes. This capability makes it very simple to add secure resources to your environments, whether for disaster recovery, data center extension, or a complete data center migration. To start off this demonstration, let's go back to our Hillsboro data center and look at the Hillsboro demo Linux box I have set up. It is set to IP address 10.10.10.10. If we go into the settings and we look at the controller, we see that it is indeed on VLAN 10. Let's open up a console. Now let's go and take a look at VintHill. And VintHills is also ready, but it's set to 10.10.10.100. And if we go to the settings, we also see that this one is set on VLAN 10. Now, as I stated earlier, VRAC has the ability to have up to 4,000 VLANs. And by default, in vCenter, each data center comes set up with 10 pre-configured VRAC VLANs, numbered 10 through 20. Let's come back to Hillsboro, where I'll launch a terminal and ping the VintHill Linux box. And we'll see that this is unreachable because even though they're both on VLAN 10, they're on VLAN 10 on different VRACs. Now, if we return to the control panel and we go down to the VRACs, the VRAC that Hillsboro is on is the VRAC 2278. Right there. We'll notice that the Hillsboro is the only resource associated with that VRAC. If we go to 2279, we see VintHill is associated with VRAC 2279. The eligible services on the left-hand pane are resources in my environment that are not associated with any VRACs at the moment. So, in order to get and change the layer 2 stretch networking for the entire private cloud, all it takes is for me to come here, click on the Move button, choose a target VRAC, and I'm going to choose 2278. And that starts the process. What this will do is reconfigure all of that layer 2 programming, and it will put the two data centers onto the same VRAC. Here we are back at VRAC 2279, and we see that the VintHill data center is no longer associated with that VRAC. If we click on VRAC 2278, we see that now both VintHill and Hillsboro are associated with that VRAC. If we go back to the Hillsboro Linux box, we now see that the pings are going through between the two data centers. And just as a reminder, that traffic is being pushed across our network with no ingress or egress charges. There's no regions to deal with. That traffic is completely unmetered. Extending Layer 2 VLANs is not limited to hosted private cloud. In fact, many customers currently leverage dedicated servers in their cloud environments. Remember, OVHcloud has 30 data centers in 12 countries on 4 continents. The ability to grow and expand is considerable. But more importantly, because of the automation on the back end that's made available to our customers, moving and expanding in the cloud is both less time-consuming and easy to achieve with very little skill gap. Administrators can now add resources from the OVHcloud control panel without needing to work with their service provider's network teams. One common use case is where a customer runs their backups in an OVHcloud data center and they ship backup copies to a dedicated storage server in a different geography, with no ingress, egress, or regional charges. This greatly enhances their disaster recovery plans. Also, for data center extension and data center replacement scenarios, it adds considerable agility when needing to add additional resources. In this next demonstration, we will add a dedicated server in London to the environment and connect it via VRAC. In order to add additional resources to our environment, we come back to Control Panel. If we click on the dedicated servers, we see that this environment already has a dedicated server, but I'm going to order another one. In order to do so, we come to Order, click on Dedicated Server, and we're taken to the order funnel to make our choices. I am going to choose a Advanced 2 server, and I want mine with 64 gigs of RAM. We'll notice that Vint Hill doesn't have any at the moment. However, I want one in London. I'm going to choose London. I'm going to keep the other defaults, and I'm going to go into the order funnel. As we look, we notice that in London it's showing a 32 gigabyte server. So let me confirm that I want a 64 gigabyte server. And we see that it is available. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom and click Next. We take all of the defaults again. I have my option of how I want my subscription to be, either monthly, a 12-month, or a 24-month. But I am going to just stick with a monthly and confirm the order. I confirm the billing and accept the terms and conditions, confirm and pay. And that resource will be added to my environment in a few minutes. So after refreshing Control Panel, we come into Control Panel and we see that the other host, the new dedicated host, has been added. As we scroll over, we see that no operating system has been put in place yet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose an operating system. We're going to choose the operating system from an OVHcloud template. We're going to go for a Linux distribution. And I'm going to go with Ubuntu Bionic Beaver. And I'm not going to customize the partition. We're going to keep that standard. These are the configurations that are going to be put in place. Now the big thing is I'm going to install the operating system with a SSH key that I had previously created using PuttyGen. The SSH keys are RSA 4096 keys. I confirm. And the operating system installation is in progress. Once we refresh the screen, we see that the operating system has been successfully installed on the server. So the next step is to come down to our VRAC 2278. And we'll notice that we have two hosts available. I'm going to pick the new dedicated server, and I'm just going to add it to the VRAC. With the click of a button, all of the programming and all of the networking for a layer 2 stretch is being built so that the resource in London will be able to communicate with all of the other resources that are currently in that VRAC. Now that we've added the dedicated server into the VRAC, we can go back to dedicated servers and go to the networking section. And if we scroll to the bottom, we see that, again, our public interface has an IP address and VRAC is connected to the private interface. All we need to do now on the dedicated server is to log in via PuTTY and begin to configure the environment. OVHcloud does provide a step-by-step guide on how to connect Ubuntu to the VRAC, and it's available on the web. However, in the interest of time, I'm going to pause the video while I configure the interface on the dedicated server. Here's the terminal window for our server in London. If we look at the configuration, we see that there is now a VLAN set up as VLAN 10 with the IP address of 10.10.100.100 with a net mask of 255.255. If I now go back to my Hillsborough Linux box and I do another ping command, we see that it's now available. Understand, now we're sending traffic from Hillsborough all the way to London. And again, no ingress charges, egress charges, no regions, nothing. Traffic is flowing without additional charges and it's unmetered. Now that the configuration of the dedicated host in London is complete, we can come back to our Hillsborough demo Linux box and we're going to ping the new address. This is the London address. And we can see that we're pinging now. So traffic is actually passing from Hillsborough through our network all the way to London. And again, no ingress or egress charges. It's that simple to expand a very complex network with just a few clicks and a little configuration of a Linux OS. VRAC is also available for public cloud instances. In the next demonstration, we'll add a public cloud instance to our network and test with a ping. In order to add a public cloud instance to our VRAC, in Control Panel, we simply go to VRAC, scroll down to the VRAC we've been using, which is 2278. And when we click on that VRAC, we'll notice that we have several cloud projects that are available to connect. So we're going to choose the cloud project for the demo and simply hit add. At this point, the layer 2 stretch automation adds the public cloud project to the VRAC private network, and all of the resources that are part of that private network will be able to communicate. Our next step is to create the public cloud instance. So we go to the public cloud tab, once in the public cloud tab, we enable private networks. And here we have the option of either creating a new VRAC or adding an existing one. So we're going to choose add an existing VRAC. And we're going to scroll until we find our VRAC 2278 and click create. Now that the VRAC is enabled, we create a private network. I'm going to set the VLAN ID to VLAN 10. We have the option of dynamic IP addressing or static. I'll just choose manual. Next. Region is United States. Enter your private network name. In this case, I'll just make it VLAN 10. Now that the VLAN is created, we go to instances and create our instance. So let's create the instance. We have several options. If you'll notice that we have a general purpose, which is balanced. We also have a CPU intensive or RAM intensive options. But for today, let's just go with the standard B27 instance. Click next. Choose region. choose an operating system. Let's go back to Ubuntu. I'm going to add the SSH key that I previously added to the public cloud. Get to choose the quantity. I'll just choose the 1. I'm going to add the VLAN that we created earlier. And for billing, I have the choice of either monthly or hourly, but I'm going to just choose hourly right now. And we see that the instance is being created. After a few minutes and a screen refresh, we see that the instance has been created and that it has both a public and a private IP address of 10.10.0.26. All that's left now is to ping it to test connectivity. If we move back to our Hillsboro demo Linux box, I open a terminal session. Let's ping. The IP address I'm pinging is 10.10.0.26, which was just added to the instance. And there we are. We're actually pinging between a public cloud, we can ping to a dedicated server, and we can ping to another private cloud across the country. The automation and familiar environments offered by OVHcloud make the transition to cloud easier. OVHcloud also provides several tools on our website that allow people to view the status of our global network and our product lines. This helps customers to see what the status of OVHcloud's ecosystem is at any time, helps them to better monitor the performance of their environments, and also helps with the smooth cloud transition. In the next demonstrations, I'll walk you through 4 tools that are available on our website for anyone to use. The first tool I'd like to show you is our status window for our network and our operations. So you can take a look and see all of the products that we offer and what their current status is. So you can see on this chart everything's operational. We also include a listing of all of the scheduled maintenance coming up. You can see that any particular maintenance may have an intermittent impact, in this example, over the time frame of 15 to 20 minutes at most. The previous one, impact may be a window of 5 minutes or less, but we give you an advance notice of what's going on. This is all based on the last 7 days. So in the last 7 days, there have been 0 incidents. Maintenance has, we've had 2 maintenance windows in the last 7 days, and we have 11 upcoming maintenance windows. You can also go to the history if you want to see beyond the last 7 days, last week, 2 weeks ago. We give you that option as well. The next tool I'd like to show you is the OVHcloud Looking Glass Traceroute tool. This tool is useful for determining response delays and routing loops present in a network pathway across packet switch nodes. It also is helpful to locate any points of failure encountered while en route to a certain destination. The way that you would use this tool is we would pick a source, in this case, let's say Vint Hill, our Vint Hill data center, and let's just say that I want to do a trace route to an IP address. Let's just go Google DNS for now. And the resultant output is not only the trace route, but you also get the delays. You can also actually even map that. So same destination. And it'll give you a visual map of that traffic. Our network latency grapher is a tool that tests latency between OVHcloud data centers, points of presence, Anycast locations, and others. OVHcloud's network latency grapher will also give latency information for the last 2 hours up to the last 365 days. The way you would use it is simply pick a source. In this case, we're going to pick Hillsboro. And we can then take a look at any other DC. We can look at CDNs, Anycast, POPs in other countries and continents. But in this case, we're looking at Vint Hill, so we're looking at a 63.4 millisecond average over the last 3 hours. It's actually pretty stable over the last 30 hours. The last 10 days, 63.8, and you get a feel for exactly what the latency is anywhere within our network, again for troubleshooting purposes. The Network Weather Map tool is a graphical representation of the networking infrastructure for OVHcloud worldwide. You can actually look at backbones, European data centers, North America. In this particular instance, we're looking at USA's backbone. And if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that this is the Ashburn data center. These are the infrastructure network points, and you can see where we connect with Google, Amazon, Equinix, Cogent. On the left-hand side, there's a pane with the different load scales. You can see that in the purple range, it's very light, and we don't have any red right now, but if there were, you would be able to identify where there is a traffic issue on the network. Again, we provide this free of charge for troubleshooting for anyone that wants to take a look at it. We don't even ask you that you log in, and you don't have to be a customer. So let's talk about what makes OVHcloud different. In 2019, OVHcloud celebrated 20 years of continuous technical and industrial innovation to become a global cloud leader. OVHcloud is an open cloud that's reversible and interoperable. OVHcloud realizes the value of choice. The ability for businesses to choose their provider, platform, and solutions is paramount. We are committed to enabling customers to be free to choose their cloud providers, free to change them, free to divide up their applications among several providers, free to choose where their data is stored, and free to work with applications they are currently familiar with on their on-premise environment. By combining automation and familiar tool sets, OVHcloud makes moving to the cloud for disaster recovery, data center extension, and data center migrations an affordable and secure journey. OVHcloud also supports an open cloud approach by embracing open source technologies and supporting industry standards. We lead through our active participation in industry groups helping to define a meta framework of standards that aim to guarantee freedom of business choices, data protection, and open technology. From CISP, the cloud infrastructure services providers in Europe, to OpenStack, to the Open Cloud Foundation, we support open cloud. At OVHcloud, we look at things differently, starting with the building and owning of our own data centers. We create the perfect data center environment while reducing energy consumption with our proprietary water cooling system. And because we don't use a raised floor or traditional air handlers and air conditioning, we can retrofit existing buildings or build data centers from the ground up in half the time. OVHcloud owns a 20 terabit per second global fiber backbone, so we're able to provide our network at no cost. And our hosted private cloud environments include external connections with speeds up to 3 gigabits per second with 4 gigabits per second burst, and which will soon be increasing to 10 gigabits per second. Direct connects can also be established at speeds up to 10 gigabits per second. All OVHcloud services include 8 terabits per second of DDoS protection with our proprietary anti-DDoS solution. We also build our own servers. Our factory is supported by 5 R&D labs dedicated to innovating and customizing proven methods of server stress validation and testing to ensure optimal performance. OVHcloud can build up to 4,500 new servers per day, allowing us to stay on top of customer demand. Our industrialization process aims to protect the environment and decrease total cost of ownership for our customers. But most important, with OVHcloud, you have one point of contact that is responsible for the entire stack. You'll find our pricing very competitive with no surprises. At OVHcloud, we offer a great value thanks to our vertical industrial integration. Hosts are dedicated, not shared resources. There are no ingress, egress, or API call fees, unlimited and unmetered bandwidth, guaranteed 10 gigabit per second private and public networking. You have a fixed amount you know you're going to pay month over month. OVHcloud Hosted Private Cloud is a single-tenant, dedicated environment to alleviate security and control concerns. Every OVHcloud hosted private cloud includes VMware vSphere Enterprise Plus, VROPS, and NSX, and provides access to vCenter. We were among the first cloud infrastructure providers to offer pre-built SDDC environments to customers in the cloud. And today, we are one of the largest resellers of VMware licenses worldwide. Thanks to VMware's technology ecosystem, IT managers can choose how they will adopt the cloud. They can outsource resources for all workloads, specific ones, or expand an on-premise infrastructure by building a hybrid cloud. Entering the digital world means becoming part of an ever-changing universe. Our network of partners and integrators also improves the accessibility of our solutions. We established a reliable link between OVHcloud and key component suppliers to relentlessly improve our time to market by benefiting from their latest innovations. This approach allows us to leverage a wide range of technical and business experts to deliver even more value to those who matter most, our customers. OVHcloud adheres to rigorous security standards associated with various global industry-specific compliance frameworks, from our infrastructure as a service services to our data centers. OVHcloud is dedicated to delivering cloud services that adopt industry best practices to meet a comprehensive set of security and compliance standards. OVHcloud uses independent third-party auditors to conduct audit examinations across a wide range of specific compliance requirements. There's no question that cloud computing is on the rise. More and more businesses are turning to cloud computing as their default setting. But with so many options to choose from, how do you select the right provider for your business? Here are 2 more reasons to consider OVHcloud. OVHcloud was recently named one of the European leaders in the hosted private cloud services segment, with the highest scores possible in the criteria of roadmap execution, vision for the future, as well as market approach and customer numbers, focused on strong cloud infrastructure solutions for customers of various sizes. And just 3 years after first entering the U.S. market, OVHcloud is very honored to be named one of North America's strong performers in the hosted private cloud services segment, with the highest scores possible in the criteria of pricing scenarios, execution roadmap, vision of the future, as well as strength in market approach.
Today's IT departments are facing new challenges. As companies move to the cloud, it's important to make that transition as easy and smooth as possible. By providing an environment that is familiar, and by offering automated tool sets that help IT personnel expand complex networks and remove resources and expand their global reach easily, we at OVHcloud believe the transition to the cloud can be made more smoothly and more cost effectively. I hope that what you've learned has been helpful. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about how OVHcloud can help your transition to the cloud, please reach out to us at VMworld2020 at OVHcloud.com. Thank you.